Well,
That didn't take long, did it?
2 days in and they're already in conflict with each
And
other.
in case you didn't know who we're talking about, that would be Sharice and Zadia. And they sure enough holding true to form, acting a complete fool.
And they're looking for love
Where?
when they don't even
Where?
have love for themselves.
Where? It's like where? What are you looking for?
It's about Molly. You're running and you're running and you're running away, but you can't run away from yourself.
Welcome to Cliff Alerts. Today we're going to be talking about OWN Network's reality-based TV series, Ready to Love, Make That Move, season number 1, episode number 2.
And as we said, nobody making any moves. The only movement going on is maybe a movement of hands and the mouth, but that's about all the moving that's going to be made in this program. Before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe. Please click that notification button so you know when we upload new content. Please press that like and share so we can do better in the algorithm. And we thank you and appreciate you for your support. So let's go.
That's
Uh,
what Sharice was saying. Let's go.
it starts off with the ladies gathered
Yeah, at the
and
house, and
uh-huh.
matchmaker Tamika Lee has an assignment for them this week. All right, and that is to go out with 4 dates that she's chosen for each one of the ladies. Right,
We introduced the new singles,
right.
and their names are.
Cameron, Maurice, Ramon, and Marcus.
And Cameron was hooked up with
Zadia,
Shadia. Ramon was hooked up with
Vernisha,
Vern.
mhm,
Marcus,
was hooked up with Ashley.
yes, and the last one.
Maurice had the honors of meeting Sharice.
Yes, so we see them out on their dates. Ashley,
Something with Marcus,
yes,
and they go
and
for a bike ride.
yes.
And I would imagine that that wouldn't have been too comfortable for Miss Ashley because one, she hadn't been on a bike since she was a kid. Maybe the
Amen.
streets of where they were riding in some part of New Orleans were cobblestone,
Mhm.
and that could be a bumpy ride.
Right.
You
But
know,
evidently, we find out that Marcus is an assistant high school principal.
yeah, yeah, who likes dealing with kids, and that's something that both he and Ashley have in common because she likes dealing with kids
Yeah,
as
she's a
well.
speech specialist or what have you, and
Yeah.
she works with kids as well. So at
Mhm.
least they had common ground.
Well, they started off good, but
But then he
then
put his foot
Marcus
in his
Marcus
mouth.
inserted his foot in his mouth.
Yes,
Mhm.
he probably didn't remember or who he was going out with, and he sort of mixed up what Ashley was wearing
In their
compared to
first meeting,
Zadia
yeah,
in their first meeting.
yeah, and he also inserted his foot further down his esophagus by saying that Ashley had borrowed gold.
I couldn't understand what he was saying.
Hey, look, all I'm
Is
saying
he
is
saying it was cheap gold from the
costume jewelry.
costume jewelry?
Yeah,
What was he saying?
that's how I took it.
Because he mentioned that it was really yellow.
Yeah, right. And you know what? Ashley responded with, would you like a knuckle sandwich?
Eventually, they started talking and kikiing, and Ashley is extra, so she brought the charisma, and it appeared that they had a decent date.
Right, and he had obviously the teacher kind of influence going with him, which I think was attractive to Ashley.
Yes.
Mhm.
The second date up was
Vernisha, and she rolled out with Ramon.
he's a retired basketball player.
Yeah,
Was telling her that he's well traveled. He's been
right,
to a lot of countries playing ball, and he had
right,
the opportunity
s-
to travel the world.
right. But because of his career, he hadn't had a chance, a really uh, formidable, I guess, opportunity to experience his or to develop his social life, his dating life in particular. And I think as a result, he had mentioned that he only had uh, his longest relationship lasted approximately 2 years.
Yeah, and that was in 2005 or
I
2008.
I think it was
It
2008.
was something a little ridiculous and a red flag. So I'm not sure about the brother. Vern said she liked traveling as well. She likes flowers, and
Hmm.
he mentioned that his mom told him to bring her flowers, but he didn't pay any attention,
Right.
and that would have been a check in the right direction. But because of his lack of experience in dating and being in a relationship, she thought he was not really for her, but she didn't mention that to him at the table.
Hmm.
So next up was,
Miss Charisse, had her first meeting with Maurice, who's an attorney.
and of course, they went to a restaurant. They sat down to have a meal, but he is charismatic and charming, so he had roses
Sent to the
brought to her
table.
table,
Hmm.
and she thought that was impressive.
And to me, the conversation was going until Charisse kind of uh, how should I say this, awkwardly interrupted it with, I guess, her criteria questionnaire that she had to run down to his brother.
Well, I think something different. I don't think this conversation was going anywhere. Thought that there was no chemistry between them. I thought they were just being cordial and nice, but you could see that they really didn't want to engage. He wasn't connected to her, and she wasn't connected to him, because if they were, they would have been able to keep going with the conversation. However, she asked him if he had kids.
Right? And he said he had four from a previous relationship with his ex-wife,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently that didn't set too well with Miss Charisse. And like I said, I could be wrong about this, but I tell you what, it seemed like the whole tone of the date and the conversation changed after that because he shortened up on his answers, and it became more difficult to have a flowing conversation. Talking about taking the air out the room.
I don't know if Cherise recognized it, but she's 44 years old and the brother was 51. Any man, any eligible man she's going to meet is going to have two things going on with him. He will either be divorced and he is going to have children. So I don't understand her fascination about meeting a man who
One of
does
her
not have
prerequisites,
children.
unrealistic
And
as far as
even
I'm concerned.
better, he said that his youngest son was 21 years old. This is a grown man.
Yeah, but she got problems with her kids.
She's the only one who wants to be in the spotlight for any
To me,
relationship.
what she's saying is that she has this unrealistic and narrow expectation that she's in search of and will actually meet somebody at that point in their career who doesn't have kids and who's never been married like her and is older than her and well established.
But as she said, she wants to date herself, so I'm not holding out for any man she
She,
meets in this
she's
process.
off to a great start down there towards that end.
So let's move on. Who is next?
Okay. Was it Zadia?
Zadia.
Mm.
Zadia went out with Cameron, and she complimented him at the table. Once they sat down, they went for something to eat, and Cameron said he was a doctor, but the Chiron
Chiron said
said that he was
pharmacist
a pharmacist and a
slash
photographer.
photog.
So they sat down and they were flirting with each other, and they had in common schools that they went to, and you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it turns out that they were both in high school in Atlanta at the same time,
Right.
right?
And then Zadia shut that down. She said that was superficial. She wanted to talk about something real.
Oh yeah.
And then
Okay.
she said, she's a businesswoman. She got a fitness center and she dabbles with makeup, and she doesn't mind hustling, but she recognizes that she got to take time to do the soft things in her
Yeah,
life.
but that she sees in Cameron, somebody who she's attracted to from a business standpoint because she owns her own business. He does too. She's liking what she sees initially.
Yeah, but they had chemistry between them. Tamika tries to find out
What happened on the dates?
how the date went and what have you. But in talking, um, she asked if there were any house rules. And Cherie said, well, they're none, but I wish they had because, I just want to be safe. And Tamika said, well, what are you talking about? And then short version, she believed that Zadia hooked up with Cameron the night before and then woke her up at 7 in the morning to open the door so she can come in. When Tamika asked Zadia if she left the house that night, Zadia told her a full blown lie.
Capping all the way.
She did
Capping.
not. And I wondered, my God,
Come on, man.
a grown ass woman?
Right. 38.
Why lie? Because earlier she said that she hadn't had relations for quite some time, and that was maybe capping too, because the quickness with which she got with Cameron doesn't indicate like that is a situation that she
That actually
was I don't know, allegedly she lied about
she took
her.
care of some business, all right.
Yeah. Remember she said she missed it?
Yeah.
Well,
She missed something, but
she missed
she found
something,
it.
but she found it the
Found it,
night
didn't she?
before.
Right,
Yes.
right.
So Charisse went into, oh, she don't want to be woken up and she doesn't feel safe
With
bringing
strangers that
strangers in the
she's only
house
met
because
one time.
the night before they
Right,
were in the kitchen drinking
right.
and Zadia asked if they mind her bringing a company over and she said no while the others didn't feel any kind of way. So they go at it.
Claus was out.
The anger was just on a lip movement away, and you thought something would pop off between them. They were going back and forth
Right.
with the nice, nasty
Yeah.
stuff. And
You know how
eventually,
y'all can do.
y'all.
Y'all, right.
So Tamika then tells them that she's going to invite all the men
That
over to
she's
the
met in the
house
first two
now.
episodes, right?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
those that they chose and those that she chose.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to make a decision whether to move on with one man or
Mm-hmm.
to whether to cut the person loose.
Right. And
And
all of a sudden they feel it's pressure.
yeah,
So I think it was first up was Ashley, and she had to choose between Marcus and Donald. Right?
yeah, Marcus was the assistant principal. She cut him loose. She felt like he wasn't there for her
Mm-hmm.
and she wanted a man who was there for her, and she kept Donald,
Mm.
who she claims she has a connection with.
Next up, it was decision time for Venetia and her 2 dates.
Yes, Venetia decided to cut Roman
Uh-huh.
off
Ramon.
because she felt he didn't have any experience with dating or being in a relationship.
Mm.
And she kept Jabari, who she still believes is a player. So my question is, why is she keeping a man around who she feels intuition is telling her something, but yet she is holding on to him? She could have cut both of them loose. Jabari,
Right.
right.
So, but why she chose him was maybe, from my vantage point, and a decision that she made based on the physical stuff, because she did like what she saw and thought that he was a handsome guy.
Listen, if you don't like something, you gotta let it go. She admitted that she forms relationships quickly.
Well,
So if she
I was thinking from
feels,
an overall vantage point, but in terms of where she's just beginning the process. That's
if
all.
her intuition is telling her clearly that this guy is not right for her,
She need to cut
let
him
her go
loose.
because the white one is on her doorstep.
Okay, it's coming down the road.
Yes,
Okay.
and let this be a teachable moment,
Mhm.
the how to let stuff go that has nice, bright, shiny lights, but let it go nonetheless because it may not fit in
Mhm.
your life.
Right, right.
Because she had a big upset with Joel
Mhm.
on Ready to Love.
Right,
That's
right.
a big lesson to learn.
Yeah, well, maybe she hasn't fully learned that one. And, next we move to Zadia,
Yes.
who had two guys eliminate, one of which we just spoke about
Yes,
with Bernice
yes.
being Jabari.
And
And
Sharice tried to do the smart thing.
right, and
She started talking with Cameron, and she phrased her question as, "Hey, I got a
what happened
bone
last
to
night?
pick with you. You woke me up.
What happened this morning, rather?
You woke me up." And he started smiling, and she found out that she was really lying to her because she was getting the truth out of Cameron on and Zadia was nervous when she
That's
once
why
she
she went
started talking
over to him in
to
the
it.
kitchen and wasn't in the kitchen, and she said, "Can I speak to you?"
And when they were in the kitchen, Zadia started talking fast as if because he was happy to see his eyes lit up and he was expecting something else to come out of her mouth, but she was a little aggressive in trying to guide him to what she
Away from Sharice.
not only away from Charisse, but away from any conversation that will lead people to
No,
believe
the
that
truth.
they had something going on the night before.
Right.
And it was plain to see that something happened.
Oh yeah.
So,
How you like to say they had relations? Allegedly. Going for that, are you?
no. Zadia had a conversation with
Cameron and Jabari.
Jabari,
Right.
and she decided to cut Jabari to the quick because she told him he seemed more into Vern than her,
Hmm.
and he was happy to go because he is into Vern. He wants all that it looks like she's offering.
When it came to Sharice, both Maurice and Antonio were on the proverbial cutting block.
And Antonio wore another vest. It was
That's his thing.
festive. Yeah, that's his vibe.
Hmm.
And notice that the attorney had a vest on,
Mm.
but she didn't say anything about that because he had a jacket with it. But Antonio wore his vest. It was a little more festive, and but she said there was no attraction between them, no spark,
Well,
so she had to cut him.
that's being a little nice too, because I think she took a dig at both brothers. One, she said that Antonio was not closer to her age and not necessarily as mature as she would have liked.
Right.
Okay, and
When
then
she met with what's his face, Maurice,
Maurice,
what did she tell him?
she said that while he checked off a lot of her boxes, she still had an issue as it relates to his kids who she'd
Now,
never met before.
okay, so why is he sitting there and still waiting for approval from
And
her
not
now and not leave?
and not only that, wait a minute, not finished. Not finished. She also referenced the fact that their conversation after a certain point in their first meeting became very difficult to carry on, and she found herself asking all the questions, and his answers were short and brief. Brevity was the key, and I think it was again. This is just me. I think brevity was the key because he was offended by the implication that she had an issue with his kids.
There are people who can't communicate like that, but this dude is an attorney that has his own practice,
And not
so
only
he
that,
got a mouthpiece. Trust
too,
and believe.
he knows how to read the room.
Sharice attraction because she don't know what an attraction from a man really is because she's been dating herself for so long. She has no clue. But
So
there are no sparks between them because if
that's
there was sparks, they would be continuously having a conversation
I.
about
You
stuff.
know what? I think initially there were at least on maybe a surface level. I think, like I said, what happened was Sharice came out of her mouth wrong or incorrectly with that thing about his kids and all that, and he just took offense to that. That's what I think.
Well, I think when she actually said it, he should have had a problem with it and
I think he did.
would have gone off by himself.
No, I think he chose I guess for the purposes of the meeting, chose to handle that incident with class and dignity and didn't make a scene. He rose above it
All right.
and did it. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt on that. He didn't embarrass her, but I tell you what, he didn't like what she said, how she came off about that part of it.
Well, it's unmistakable now. Charisse is undateable, and she's right. She should date herself. That's all I'm getting
More
at
power to
this.
a sister to date herself.
Amen. She knows all the answers.
Let's see how happy she is with that.
Well, maybe she got something in the drawer that can keep her happy. You never
Ooh,
know.
ooh,
Stop
ooh.
me when I lie.
No, I ain't gonna stop and keep going, sis. Thanks.
Okay.
Mm,
Anyway, that's all we have.
mm.
Next week, another group of men are gonna come through, and we see Sharice insulting another man. Bob Marley say, have a song. You're running and you're running and you're running away, but you can't run away from yourself. Where you are, there it is.
So we're basically what you're advising Sharice to do is listen to that track.
Perhaps that'll mellow her all the way out. She needs to get in touch with who she is as a woman because she's been telling herself stories. And the stories she's been telling herself, she has started to believe every last
She
one of
convinced
them.
herself that it all of
Yes.
it's true, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the problem right there. She believing a lie. She's been believing a lie for a long
About
time
herself, huh?
about herself
That she told
that
herself.
she told herself.
Boy, hell,
You
that's
see?
that's
Yeah.
trouble right there.
My God.
Yeah, she on that
You can't run away from yourself.
she on that merry-go-round, and you know who's spinning it? Her representative.